All right, let's hope we can get it right this time. I just did an entire stream without audio, and so I'm going to have to do this again. But a little bit better. I'm going to speed it up a little bit and focus a little bit on the map that I'm currently working on. I am EUTW Xodius, and I am going to show you all this nice little editor that one of our members, Gippo, has spent a lot of time putting together. And he did this not only for our own benefit, but the benefit of everyone else in our community that would like to make maps in Arma. So just to go over a couple of things, if you're new to Arma and you haven't touched the editor, or you're just curious about this, we've made this very easy for people to create maps. And Arma previously, in several versions back, had an editor that looked simply like this. And you could go around the map, and you could place objects, and then you'd have to kind of figure it out, and then go into the game, and then come back, and then okay, well, here's what's here's what it is, and it was a real pain in the ass. So now they've done this wonderful thing in editing in and bringing this up into modern day with a 3D tool. And what we've done with it is, us having to go through the olden days of making maps for EUTW PVP Warfare, we've had to switch things around a little bit, and this makes it a lot more efficient for people to be able to jump in and create maps. So, as you know, as some of you know, unless you're watching the stream right now, we have a number of things in our mission that are really critical to that, and now we've made it crazy easy. And if you look on the sidebar over here, I have all of these little things that I can place down. And now this is a completed map, and this is one that I'll be probably finishing off tonight, and to be able to showcase this this a little bit later to people as to just how to make maps and what we need to do. So over here we have a couple of things, and what I've already placed is the headquarters. So this is the base where the players start specifically, and these points in the middle, as some of you know, are the objectives. And the objectives are all hooked together nicely in here. Previously, what we had to do in here was when we placed the objectives down, we had to go into a text file and then basically go, okay, this point is connected to this, and we had to write these little script lines to be able to connect all the points and what was connected to what. There was a much larger margin of error. Now we can go in and we can kind of tweak these and be able to move everything around so much easier, and not have to go in and verify that. There was some guesswork that was involved some of the time, especially in terms of placement locations. So what I'll show you is this. Now I've got two bases that are put down, and it's as simple as going like this, picking whatever you need, and we'll do a more formal tutorial as time goes on to make sure we're showcasing this in the right way for those who want to make maps. I just want to give a bit of a preview. So it's as simple as dragging and dropping items, and then setting them up. So in this case, I've dropped a couple of things. So I'll drop another objective here and just show that. So now that that objective has been dropped, as I've done in this area over here, what I can do is I can double click on that, and then I can set this. It's really just a matter of setting this to faction 1 or 2, whether it's pre-captured, or if it's not, there's none. So in the case of the points that I have on the map already, like these ones, so I have decided that faction 1's up here. They have a boat shop attached, which I'll show that in a little bit, and there's actually boat shops up and down the coast. I wanted to create a map to showcase the boat specifically, but if I click on that and I go, yeah, so faction 1, I name it, I go faction 1, and that means that point is pre-captured to the faction that starts up here. And for those of you who have played our game mode, we have the three main factions of Op4, Blue4, and AAF, and we also have, in addition to that, we have some sub-factions that we've created for Tanoa as well. And those are randomly chosen at the beginning of the map, at the beginning of the mission start. Depending, I think, on the island of Tanoa, we have the two sub-factions we're using. On the Altus and Stratus maps, those are using AAF, Blue 4, and Op 4. So it will automatically put those in. So like you said, I've gone in and I've taken these points, and really all I have to do to connect anything to one another is once I've placed these down, and I have a small group of them, I can go here, connect, sync to, and then just take it to another point specifically, and it automatically creates that line for me. Not that I want that there. I may change that map up a little bit. I have to actually finish this one up tonight. So in this case, really where I started with this is I went around the map and I put down some objectives and I kind of pushed them and pulled them, and I went down and, you know, like I can go down and look at the terrain here and see where everything's sort of placed. In addition to that, I mean, you can also place objects on the points themselves too, and putting them on the points will also help with, you know, some of the defenses. I mean, there is some stuff on the terrain here that you can do, and when we started off with Tanoa specifically, we had left out a lot of those specifically to just to make sure that we knew how the map was running and what the performance was like across the general population. And now that we're at a point where we kind of know what it is, we can get away with placing some of these objects and disabling simulation on some of them that require it, like these things with H barriers and stuff don't really require much in terms of simulation on them. You know, doors opening and closing, buildings blowing up, those kinds of things. We can shut those kinds of things off on there and save ourselves a little bit of headroom for the server itself. What's cool too is, as you can see here as I'm moving around, you can see that these points are already, there's a line that runs across in 3D here, so you can see where these points are connected, not just from this side, but also from down here as well. And it's really as easy as clicking on these, and then I can push and pull these around to different locations and wherever I want that center point to be. And the same goes for buildings and everything else, but the one thing you want to make sure of is that you have all of the key objectives that are in there. So there's also placing, in addition to HQs, you know, there also needs to be AA placed in here, which is something that somebody told me I forgot, so I should probably do that right now. So we have the headquarters, and if I look at the headquarters, you can see where the base is here. I can actually, you know, move this around and change the direction a bit. The two buildings you see are actually the ones, these will be there in-game. Players will spawn underneath this big tower here. And when the mission is generated from our own in-house stuff, it will, you know, generate this tower. And this in the editor itself is really something that we use for just showcasing the location. And one thing we weren't able to do before in the old stuff, in the way that it was scripted, was set the base orientation. So now we're able to point that in the right direction. Typically it would be pointed like backwards or somewhere that just wasn't really, oh, that's the direction I'm supposed to go. But now we can kind of put it and go this way. That's where you need to go. So now that this is placed, I have a boat shop that's hooked up over here, and as you can see, there's a line from that as well. This is a recent addition that some of you haven't even seen yet, and I've basically connected this to the base. So your team basically owns this, and they can come walking or, you know, drive a quad over or whatever, come over here to this flag and be able to access the boat shop from there. But like I said, there's also base defenses as well, which need to get put in. Base defenses come in the form of these little things right here. Now, there's not much to look at on that, but much in the same way I've done with the boat shop and pretty much anything else I need to connect. I can go here, sync to, connect both of those, and now I have a couple of AI AA defenses that are put in place. And those should not be placed inside the inner circle. You want to place them on either this one or in the, I believe, on the outer circle. I'll clarify that more in the tutorial as to where they should be placed and what the rulings are with that specifically, but definitely do not place them on the inside. If you do that, they're not going to be able to hit their targets. So I'm going to move this one here, maybe this one over here, just so I can have a look at the visibility. So what I want to do is I want to go down and have a look at these and go, okay, that's pretty good. It's out in the open enough that if it enters the zone, somebody's going to get popped. So that's pretty good. That's in that, right on the edge of that one. So we go over to this one here, that's in that field. He should be able to cover there, and then I'll have this guy covering somewhere down over here, maybe. I don't know why this flag's like going underground. Ah, because I don't have that on, that's why. So bring that up, level it out. I think I did the same with this one too, but it should be fine. It's a little under because I had that feature on. Yeah, if you want to learn more about the editor commands and some of the editor tools and things that they have up here with toggling vertical mode and surface snapping and all that kind of stuff, there's lots of tutorials on that stuff out there. But I just want to focus on this specifically. So now I've got one of my HQs set up. I got two of the AA tanks over there. I think those should be more than adequate enough. Right on the edge, they're covering most of the sides. I've also got this hill here that I have to worry about, but that should cover most of any of the core intrusions that end up happening. So I got to do the same at the other base as well. So I'll come down here. We'll take another couple of AA defenses. And we'll hook these in ourselves. Sync 2 and sync 2. So now I have 2 AA tanks down here for reference. I'll move this guy. This is a little bit of a tricky spot where the base is though too, most of these guys, but at least you have this hill here which gives you some kind of defense on it. And I'll take this guy, drag him over. It's a little rough. Where's he at? So again, keeping inside that, I want to keep him inside that protective circle on that end there, and that should be good enough to be able to cover them. I'll have a look at that in a little bit and see what I can kind of set up on that. All right, so that's basically it for setting up a base. Those are the main things that you need. If you got a boat shop, you got to connect it. AA defenses, really stock part of the base. We put it on every single base. You definitely want to add those in, whether it's 1 or 2. Typically 2 should be more than adequate. I wouldn't add more than that because then you're looking at server overhead. If you don't, we'll probably delete it for you. So these connections, I mean, that's basically what it is all of these things here outside of the yellow pieces that you see here. Those are all placed buildings and stuff that I put down. This being a service point down here, which we have an option over here to drop a service point down, which is basically that. But if I double click on that service point, I have a series of options that I can go through to be able to set what I want that service point to do. So the ones that you have in the field typically are the ones that you want fielding or repairing tanks and IFVs and any other vehicles that you want to drive there and repair and refuel and rearm. Jet ones for airports specifically. I'll showcase that in a sec here. There's also the ones specifically for UAVs. We have those actually dotted around. Oops. I gotta make sure I delete the right one. We have other UAV ones, so on a map like this, which I'm targeting to be a light map, because as you can see, there's nothing at the airports. The only thing that's at the airports that I've placed down is this here, which is the UAV service points. And the UAV service points at that location up there, and I put another one down here for that base too. I think I put one down here at the service point at this airport just for fun as well. If somebody wants to go fly out there. Those are unprotected points too, so for the UAVs, so they are susceptible to attack by either team, but I think they're in good enough locations that nobody's going to really want to take a wander up there. So we've covered, HQs. You need to place 2 HQs. We're not a 3 or 4 or 5 faction game. We are only a 2 faction game. That's how we've been doing it for a long time. And when you start getting into 3, balancing gets really kind of crazy. And what happens to that 3rd faction when they get their ass beat? Kind of tricky, but it's something that we stick with, and we have the randomization that ends up happening amongst the factions as well, especially on Altus and Stratus, and we'll build that out a little more as time goes on and we get more of the Tanoa gear in and get everything else kind of balanced in there. Airfields I'll show you in a sec. Boat shops, same thing as same thing as what I showed here with the flag connected there. In addition to being able to connect those to the HQs themselves, you can also take those and connect them to points. So if you connect those things to points, like it is here, whoever owns this point that it's connected to will own that boat shop and can use that boat shop. So what I can do is I can actually take any boat shop that we have here. So I'll take boat shop. I could place a boat shop anywhere that I want, but it has to be near water, like this one. So I have a boat shop here. And as you can see, the one over here that I have is custom built by me. And I did this for all of the ones. I basically just built a ramp and then put this at the end. Mainly because the problem with boat shops that people are going to have is if the dock is not long enough, you're going to beach your boats. So I extended this out a little bit, and I have these dotted all down the coast for each of these points. So you can own multiple. But there's also one at your HQ as well that you can buy and then come out of the port and do your damage from there. But as I've shown here, I could potentially place this and this becomes a civilian boat dock that's not connected to anything. You cannot buy armed boats at these locations. So I'm going to kill that off. And so that pretty much covers a lot of the stuff. AA defenses we went over. Airfields I'll go over next. Boat shop, I've shown you faction HQs. You really don't need to do much with faction HQs. There's not really much. And also every item in here, if you double click on it after it's been placed, you can take a look down here and it's basically, tell you exactly what it does or where it is and what you need to do with it. Some of the other stuff some of the other things you need to manipulate. This is actually a boat service point. I showed you the other service points before, but as you switch between these, this will change these between. Ooh, did I pull that way up in the air there? That wasn't good. This happen occasionally. Probably went way up there. Oh, there it is. So yeah, just so people don't get upset. I don't think it's going to harm anything because these things are all anchored in the water anyways. Oh, did it go under? I think I lost it. Or I could, do it this way. And set the Z down to 0, and then we know where it is. Dum-da-dum. So that puts it below sea level right in there. I'll probably bring that up and just bring that on the surface, just in case that's some wacky marker. So there, right there. Look at those things flip. All right, so that's boat. So that's a boat shop, and the boat service point. And if I change these between these, there'll be different marker locations, mainly helipads, or the helipad markers for all of these three. But this, of course, only supplies jets, only UAVs, only boats, and only ground vehicles for the other ones. And you can place those anywhere over the water. So I'm going to show past that, and we've shown objectives. Player spawns. So player spawns real easy. Our spawning system, needs a point to be able to tell the system, you need to spawn here, and when you die, you need to go here, and this is where you go into a stasis while you respawn, and our scripts end up firing to be able to, save your gear and all of those cool things that, allow you to keep playing with your stuff. And normally we want to place these in a location not crazy far out. We don't want to put it all the way up over here. There's things with the teleport system where things move back and forth and can create a bit of lag in the system where there's a delay in the animation system. So we try to put these, far enough away from the battle where they're really not going to get hit or touched, but close enough that it's not causing any problems for the system in general. And so that's really as quick as just dropping it down. And this is a place to, place it far, but not too far from the battlefield, and do not place in water to kill your friends. So yeah, we definitely don't want to. We definitely don't want to do that. All of these icons over here, except for this one here, these are things that we end up placing in, which are, all of the other cool stuff that you don't really need to worry about, specifically like soldiers and that kind of thing. As to how we end up, putting in and balancing out the map specifically. So we make sure to go in and double check and handle all of that cool stuff. Service points I've shown, player spawns, and now I'm going to show you just quick. So the coolest thing with Tanoa is that they gave us a bunch of airports. They gave us the one up in here. They gave us this one, which is actually the crappy airstrip, which, you know, unless you like really crappy dirt airstrips, I suggest you don't use that one. We have another airstrip over here. This has a unique sort of landing. You don't really want to try to land from that side, but you know, I guess you could do it. But we have some nice concrete runways, which is great, and that's exactly what we wanted. I mean, on Altus and Stratus, we have one main airport and a bunch of crappy ones, except for maybe the Salt Flats, which is probably the best option, for the best secondary option that they have on Altus. So in airport maps, we have, for those of you that don't know, we have two types of game modes. We have light and we have regular. So regular modes consist of, you know, lower prices on most gear, also includes tanks and Titan rockets, also includes jets, Blackfoot, Cashman, all of those, you know, cool weapons and cool vehicles on the map. For our light maps, which tend to be our smaller maps, are little more infantry and IFV focused. We don't have the big tanks, we don't have the jets. There is an increased cost that's associated with a lot of that stuff, though. Just to make sure that there is a top level and that cash is being burned out properly. What we found is that on the light maps, when we didn't have enough of a high end, it became an IFV conga line. And so we made some changes to that, and I think it's balanced out quite nicely, especially for those that like more of an infantry-based kind of experience rather than dealing with, you know, Titan rockets and all of these other things on a regular basis. So it gives a nice sort of balance in between that of the two map types that we have to deal with. So I'm going to show just quick, you know, building out an airport and how to do that. It's real fast. Simply just taking, you know, we have airfield. We have two things on airfield here. We have airfield and airfield spawn area. So we take the airfield one, that drops a flag and then creates the spawn area. So the flag is basically, as you can see here, the center point of where this location is. And the flag being the center point of that is really, acts as the same as the base defense on the HQs themselves. But you also have the ability to go here and take this. Look in real close, you'll see an arrow on that. So anything that you purchase at the shop, which is located at the flag, will spawn at this location and in that direction. So I've set this up nicely here to be able to go, okay, I buy it there, my plane's going to spawn here, I jump in and I go. At the airport as well, you know, you can probably get away with putting one air defense in here. It's a fairly open area. You don't get people that typically end up running up in this area specifically. You know, same rule of thumb that we found with the other one. Place it in the you know, probably in the middle to outer circles. Again, I will confirm that specific placement because I cannot recall off the top of my head. But you do need to, you know, sync this to this bad boy over here to get that guy up. So now you've got some base defense that's connected with your faction airport. It's probably worth noting too, you also have to set the faction side as well for what airport, who owns that faction specifically, so that will turn it either blue or red or whatever you know is tuned towards your faction. So you got to make sure to set that up as well. So now we have that, and what you want to do at airports as well is, you know, as I've shown down here, what I've done with these ones, what I've done with some of these airports, is I've put down UAV service points at those locations. But when we have an airport or a regular map like this, what we want to do is we want to put down 2 points. You could only put down jets, but you know, since we're already there and things are happening and we're going to use this airport, and I didn't do it at this airport specifically because it was way out of the way and there was enough other airports that were close enough. So I can take that and I want to put a second one. We'll say I put it down over there, and then I can double click on this one, set it to UAV, double click on that one, set it to jets. Bam, we're off. So now you set up an airport. That's really all you need to do. The logic will take care of the rest. And that was the whole idea behind this. You do not need to know scripting in order to do this. You really just have to be able to go in, be able to, if you can go in, if you can click, if you can drag, if you can visualize, if you can push up and down and, you know, double click on things and set pull downs, you're probably pretty good to go, at least for the most part. Takes a little bit of time. It's more than you think. It's a bit of a time investment to be able to go through and in terms of scouting locations. But that's a little taste of what we have coming in the editor. And, I need to go right now and kind of finish this map off. There was a couple of things I needed to do, and one was with the AA stuff, and I'll fix some of the other stuff. But we're really overall excited to get this into your guys' hands, to be able to create maps for us and come up with some ideas that are, you know, things we didn't think of. You know, we're going to have a rule set that surrounds that. I mean, there's probably going to be people out there that want to create maps that go, yeah, I want it to be like a triple circle or a double circle that goes all the way around the island and spirals multiple times and never ends for, you know, a month. And that's not really making for good gameplay. Our maps, as, you know, many of you know, and the people that don't know, can last for, you know, anywhere from an hour up to, in some cases, over 10 hours. And we have people that will play that map all the way through and fight the fight. So that's about it. We'll have a more formal tutorial that'll be coming in the near future that will cover, you know, just some basics on how to do some things. I hope this, you know, gives you guys a bit of an insight into it and gives a little bit of excitement as to how this thing works, how it's going to work, and you know, we're all really looking forward to your maps. If this is the first time visiting this, you know, we have all our links on our sites, www.eutw.net. You can visit us there. You can find our Discord channel. You can find our TeamSpeak channel at ts.eutw.net. And you can find all the server info that you need to know there. We'll be doing more live streams in the future, in the very near future, and creating some new content. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with another one. Thanks, guys.